November 15th, 2013. From Atlantic City, New Jersey, this is episode 33 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and as always, I'm here with Dr. Mike.
Hello.
And this is episode 33, so we're going to devote the entire episode to talking about the hard six.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get started.
I got nothing to say.
All right. As everybody knows, we went to Atlantic City recently.
And the hard sixes did not come up.
No. So we won't be talking about hard six this episode, other than to say, there weren't very many of them.
Yeah. I had one, actually, that was a repeater for me.
Yeah. So this episode is going to be completely devoted to our trip to Atlantic City, which was great. We had a great time.
Yep.
Mike and I went with his brother and his dad, and I
think one of our best trips.
Definitely
really.
one of our best gambling trips. Yeah. My favorite trip was probably my birthday trip last year to Las Vegas, but I might put this number 2.
Yeah.
It really was that good.
Yeah, I think my favorite was your birthday trip, and this is number 2.
Yeah.
I don't know why your birthday trip was fun for me.
Well, because you saw friends that you hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was
so
actually probably... if I had to rank them, I guess I'd be up there.
Yeah. So we flew out on this last Friday. I guess it was November 8th, and a fairly uneventful flight.
No, it was a good flight.
Yeah.
My brother had a bad flight.
Oh, yeah. So your brother...
He took an overnight the night before.
Right.
From L.A., and I guess he said the last half hour was terrible. Like, people were getting sick, and he was getting a little nauseous because other people were getting sick, and several people hit the panic button.
Wow. And he flies a lot, right?
He flies every week.
Yeah.
So he said it was very, very bumpy.
Yeah. So I got some Dramamine beforehand for ours.
And ours was like glass.
Yeah, it was nothing. There was no... There was something kind of funny when we were sitting there waiting to take off. This guy was coming down the aisle.
Yeah, getting to his seat.
Yeah, and I turned to Mike and I said, "Hey, compliment that guy in his costume." This guy, he looked like I guess like Lon Chaney or something. He was his
collar was up real high around his neck,
and he had like an ascot or something, and he looked weird.
Yeah,
he was a strange looking guy.
He looked a little bit like Lon Chaney. I laughed so hard. I laughed the whole trip about, hey, compliment that guy in his costume. And then Mark turns to me and says, "Yeah, and ask him what he's dressed as."
That came up during the trip quite a lot. Whenever we'd see anybody, "Hey, what do you think of that guy's costume?"
It's mean, but it was so funny at the time.
But it was a good flight. We got there. There was a ride waiting for us to take us to Atlantic City, and it was a little over an hour ride, I guess. And we got to the hotel and we checked in. We got 2 rooms. And
we actually had 3.
Oh, yeah.
My brother had a room already.
That's right.
And then Mark had one, and then I had one. But since there were only 4 of us, and my brother was like, well, his room wasn't so nice. I guess they put him in an older tower. So he decided, well, I'll just sleep with my dad, and Mark and I will bunk together. It's always funner, too, to...
Yeah, when you're... And your room was a suite.
Right. Mine was a suite, and then yours was a regular room.
Right. Right.
But the problem was when we went up to the suite, it was beautiful, except for the fact that it had one bed, one king-size bed.
We walk in there, hey, this is great, looking around, and wait a second, just one bed. And there was no, sofa bed or anything in the other rooms or anything.
Right.
It was just the one.
A lot of times there'll be a couch that pulls out into a nice bed or something, but no, there wasn't any of that.
So we're standing there thinking, well, what should we do? And you called down and they said, oh, well, we could send up a rollaway.
Right. And then we're thinking, usually the rollaway, or as we call it, the cot, is reserved for the person who's either down the least or up the most.
That's their punishment.
Their punishment is they sleep on the cot. It's like punishment. And, neither one of us really felt like being punished. So,
how much time do we spend in the room?
Right.
Right. I mean, a suite was nice, but would you rather have a suite with a rollaway or just a regular nice room with 2 beds?
Yeah. I'd like to get the 4 hours I sleep, I'd like it to be comfortable.
Yeah. So we actually called our casino host, Andrea, the casino host actually at Harrah's.
At Harrah's.
Atlantic City. And we called down to her and she said, I'll meet you in the VIP check-in and we'll get it all worked out. So we went down and met her there. She was great.
She was great. But when she walked in the room, I'm thinking, that can't be the casino host.
She was.
There's just no way that can be the casino host. I mean, we could have asked her, what's your costume?
She was great. She was very bubbly.
She was bubbly as can be. Very
New Jersey kind of hair and the way that she was dressed and everything.
And she was super nice.
Super nice.
She was very nice to us. But it was like, she was young too.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why in my mind I had her pictured as an older lady, with a nice suit or something.
Right.
She was not that at all.
No. So she just set us up with a regular room with two beds. So that worked out great.
Yeah. Yeah. We still slept in one, but I'm just kidding.
So, and speaking of Andrew being nice, I don't know about you, but I mean, everybody was nice.
Yeah. Everybody. I mean, seriously, there was one person this whole trip that I didn't care for.
Right.
One dealer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than that, every single other dealer, every person we talked to at the tables were all very nice.
And we had kind of psyched ourselves up for, this supposed East Coast coldness or shortness,
right.
or rudeness or whatever. And, we're thinking, well, maybe they're not East Coast. They're not rude. It's just, they're to the point, but they were genuinely nice.
Yeah. Very nice.
It was great. Even, one of the best crews, we went to, Trump Plaza. And remember that crew there?
Yeah.
They definitely had kind of that New York, New Jersey style where it was they were giving each other a lot of grief.
They gave each other a lot of grief.
But the ribbing was just so good natured. And we had such a good time talking with them.
Yeah. They were very good.
Yeah.
They were excellent. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was just one guy at the very last day at Harrah's that, I don't know what his deal was. And I guess what bothered me the most about him is he was super slow.
Oh, this dealer at the craps table.
He knew what he was doing, but he was so slow moving.
He was. It was like watching somebody in slow motion. There'd be like a 7 out and okay, I guess I'll start picking up the chips.
Yeah,
Might as well start with the green ones. Here I go.
It wasn't a crowded table.
No.
That's what was funny. It was like, come on, speed this up. I'm impatient as it is. Anyway.
Well, you were losing, right?
And at that time I was losing, and I was like, we had been winning up to that point. I was ahead for the trip, and then it started to go downhill, and just him going so slow and having to repeat your bets like 8 times too. I know, kind of got to me.
But
other than that, with that one exception, everyone was great.
Oh yeah, it was. People we spent most of our time at Harrah's because that's where we were staying, and people would remember us. With like the cage,
sure,
and it was just real nice. So as soon as we got there, we rented a scooter for your dad.
Right.
He has a little trouble getting around, so we got a
He turned 88 today.
Today's
was his birthday.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but he did pretty good.
Yeah.
He didn't complain ever.
Oh no.
But he did need the scooter, and we rented it at Harrah's, and then we rented it a couple other times when we were at.
We got it at Caesars, yeah, because
we got it at Caesars. We got it at Borgata when we were at Borgata.
Right, we couldn't. It was one of those big ones. So we and your brother had a rental car. There's no way we could have gotten it in the car.
No,
and I don't think you're supposed to take it off property anyway.
No.
So every place that we went to, we'd have to get him a scooter.
Got him a scooter.
Yeah, exactly. There was kind of a scary moment. We were out on the boardwalk. And we were coming back into Caesars, and there was a ramp, for handicap.
Right. It was narrow.
It was a narrow ramp. It had a
hairpin U-turn.
Right. It had one turn.
Yeah.
And the scooter was fairly big.
Right.
And even you or I don't think we could have made that turn in that big scooter.
No. It's like you have to do like a 3-point turn thing.
And so your dad was struggling, trying to back up and, do a 3-point. Right. And finally, you were up there helping him, and I was down at the bottom kind of waiting. And finally, he kind of made the turn, but his wheel went up on the
His wheel
side.
went up on the little...
like on the edge,
on the edge of the rail or something, yeah.
So he was kind of almost airborne for a second, and he kind of panicked.
He squeezed harder.
Yeah, on the handle, because the handle's what accelerates, right? So he panicked and squeezed harder just to
and
hang
the thing
on.
just took off.
Oh my God. It wasn't funny at the time because here's this 87-year-old man going down the ramp at full speed. He's got this panic look on his face. It almost looked like he was going to tip over when he initially.
I'm hanging on to the back of him trying to like slow it down. Like I can slow it down, you know.
And all the dealers that we was right by the Asian game area and none of them had anybody on their table. So they're all watching, you know, seeing what's going to, he went down at full speed. We can laugh about it now, but honestly, I thought he was going to go flying out of the chair.
And then he tore up the walls at Bally's. Bally's had the same thing, except it was like had walls on the side. But they, you know, it's kind of their fault. It's so tight.
Yeah.
You can't, and it's their own scooter. They rent these big, huge scooters.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had a hard time getting around the wall. He hit a few of the walls.
I got an email from Caesars saying to take a survey, you know, on how your visit was.
Right.
And for most part, I said, oh, yeah, very, very good. But it said, you know, did you have a problem while you were there? So I said yes. And I, you know, wrote a little paragraph about that. Because it is bad.
Yeah. I mean, for handicapped people, I mean, you know, and what can you do? That place is kind of old. Those casinos are old.
Yeah.
And they were probably built before the handicap laws are what they were now.
Right. So the ramp was probably built in later. Yeah. So one nice thing about going to Atlantic City, we were able to meet up with some of our listeners. And the first listener that we met up with was Jim. He had actually contacted us and suggested that we meet in the Asian Games section of Caesars and play some Pai Gow Tiles.
You know, that Asian Games section was excellent, too.
It was nice in there. Yeah. It's kind of walled off.
It was walled off.
Separate.
Yeah. They were serving some kind of like Asian pastry, too. At one point, the guy said, oh, help yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Didn't you hear him?
No, I completely missed that.
There's a table behind us. And when I went to make a phone call, I was standing right next to that table. So I noticed it and I thought, oh, I wonder if these are for anyone. And then the guy said, oh, yeah, help yourself. You know, so.
Oh, nice. I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I did see it was right next to like a Chinese restaurant.
Right. There was one next door.
There.
Right.
So Jim had said, hey, let's meet up in Atlantic City. We'll play some Pai Gow Tiles. Now, you and I have never played Pai Gow Tiles before.
No. But we did do a crash course.
Yeah. So
on the airplane.
The week before, when Jim contacted us, I said, okay, Pai Gow Tiles, I'm going to bite the bullet and finally learn it. Because I had looked into it like, you know, in the 90s.
Right.
And, you know, read a little bit. And it's like, oh my gosh.
We played so much Pai Gow poker, though, in those years that it was like, well, you know, do we really want to go play tiles? Let's just go play Pai Gow poker.
Yeah. So I thought, well, you know, we've got a podcast now. we better be able to play all the games, right? So I downloaded an app that kind of teaches you the game. So for like a week before I got used to it, and then, I gave you a crash course on the plane.
Right. And it's a lot like Nines Up, so we're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So that helped.
And so neither one of us is an expert by any means, and we didn't memorize like which tiles beat what other tiles, the ranking of the tiles.
Right.
But we got the basics of the game down so that we could, in general, we were setting the hands correctly.
Yeah, it took us a while, but
Jim was actually there to help us, and Jim was great. He obviously had played the game quite a bit before.
I guess, because he could read those tiles so fast. The dealer would flip and he's, we won! And I'm like, what? I'm still trying to add the number of dots on one of the dominoes, right? Exactly. I mean, I'm not even to the second domino. He's already set the hand.
Yeah, he's celebrating. He's like, yeah, I know. It was the same. It was so fun. Yeah. But we played for a little while, and I was having pretty good luck on my hand. What we would do is we'd play against the house, and then each of us would take a turn banking.
Right. Which we didn't play against each other when we banked.
Right, exactly. We were only playing against the dealer when we banked.
Right.
And Jim had suggested this. I'd forgotten that he said, oh, yeah, you got to bank. And while we were talking, he mentioned that if you play optimally, when you're banking, you actually have an edge over the game of about 2%. And that's after the 5% commission.
Yeah.
That's how big the advantage is, because when you're playing tiles, and I know we're not going to explain how the game works because it's just too complicated. Right. But the idea is
computer for that.
Yeah, you set two hands of 2 dominoes each, and you try to beat the dealer's 4 dominoes in the same way.
Right.
And when you're banking, you have a copy advantage. In other words, when you're looking at one of the hands, if your high tile is the same as the other player's high tile, and you're the bank, you win that hand. So yeah, we would take turns banking. I had great luck on my hand. I was getting pairs like crazy.
Right. You had pair at one point.
I even got pair once and didn't even notice. I only saw one of my pairs.
You were so happy to get a pair.
Yeah, exactly. And, as soon as it flipped over, Jim was, pair. And he took a picture of it and put it up on Facebook too. So I'll have to post that. But I got pair, which I guess is like a almost 1 in 300 chance of getting.
Wow.
But then when it would come around to you started betting a little bit more. All I did was bet.
Yeah, I wasn't
25.
doing too good initially.
Right, exactly.
I was pushing or losing, and I was kind of going down. I bought in for I think $500.
Yeah.
And I think I was down to a couple hundred, and then all of a sudden I decided, what the heck, I'm going to go out there.
Right.
And then Jim was betting with me at that point.
Right. So when you guys would bank too,
Yeah.
it was like Jim and yours money. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we started catching hands like crazy.
Yeah. At one point, I can't remember if this is the last hand you guys played, but at one point, when you were banking, the dealer got 2-1.
The lowest possible.
The lowest possible hand you
Pai
can
Gow.
get in Pai Gow. And so, of course, you guys won.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I ended up winning $850 from the table.
Yeah, that was just perfect
So I
timing.
cashed out for $1,350.
Yeah.
So I am officially up for Pai Gow for my life.
Nice.
For my life.
So you think...
Okay, and I'm pretty certain I'm going to stay up for a while because they don't deal it anywhere around here.
That's right.
And unless we go back and play with Jim, or he comes here and we go somewhere that has it, or we meet him in Las Vegas. I'm sure in Las Vegas it's still.
Oh yeah. It's all over in Las Vegas. Yeah.
So,
But it was,
and I am going to Las Vegas in a few weeks, so maybe I'll be playing. I don't want to go down, though. I'm up for Pai Gow Tiles.
But it was so great meeting up with Jim, and he even made some bets for us when we were there. So that was
super
great.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
a super nice guy.
And so while we were sitting there playing, another one of our listeners, Ed, came up from behind and introduced himself. We knew that he was also going to be there, and we said, "Oh, you want to play some Pai Gow Tiles with us?" He said, "No, I'm not going to get anywhere near it."
Yeah, he looked a little hesitant with Pai Gow Tiles. He did play craps with us.
Yeah,
and so did Jim.
That's right. So we finished up on Pai Gow Tiles, went over to the craps table, and it was a pretty good craps session. I think I lost a little bit. Did you? I think we all lost.
I think we all lost just a little. I had won earlier. We had played some craps before we went to the Asian room. Yeah, and I think I won beforehand. So all in all, I ended up ahead for Caesars.
That's great. Yeah, I think I did too because I won like $50 at tiles and I only lost like 30 at craps. Yeah. Not much to talk about. I did have a pretty good roll at the craps table.
You had a good roll.
It was funny because Ed was we were talking about cheesesteaks, and Ed was saying, the best cheesesteaks in town are at Tony Baloney's because they were featured like on the Food Network or Travel Channel,
they
one
were
of those.
Food Network, yeah.
And there was a dealer there who said, no, White House Subs. That's the best cheesesteak. And so Ed and the dealer were having kind of a friendly argument about it.
And I'll tell you, that dealer was great.
Yeah, he was good, yeah.
He was a super good dealer, number one.
Yeah.
And I wished I had got his name to mention him.
Was it Scott?
Maybe that sounds right.
I think his name was Scott,
right. Scott at Harrah's.
At Caesars.
Yeah. But he was a super good dealer, number one. He had a great personality.
Yeah.
He was making fun of people with their, remember he started off.
We were talking about dice influencing.
Yeah, dice influencing. And
right.
he's showing us the pose they all have where they lean over the table.
That's right. And throw
in the dice and everything. He was a crack up.
He was good. So they got into this argument and it was never settled, I don't think. But
no, I think they both ended up agreeing with themselves and that's it.
Yeah. And I'm sure both places have good cheesesteaks. It was the kind of trip where we really couldn't, go very far because of your dad. We weren't there that long, so we never did get to try them out, but I'm sure they're both good.
Yeah. To us, they'd be great anyway because we wouldn't know the difference.
Oh,
right?
I know. Right. Cheesesteak in San Diego. But, I like the cheesesteaks here, but
we can rate,
how good can they be?
Yeah. We can rate rolled tacos. That's right. That's our
rolled tacos.
If you want to talk rolled tacos,
California
or
burritos, something like that.
We'll
talk
tell you
about that. Yeah. This dealer, again, I think Scott was his name. It sounded like he'd been there like since they'd opened, or at least
a long time,
at least 20 years, something like that. He was telling us a story about when we were talking about Pai Gow Tiles. He was telling us a story about how when he was dealing Pai Gow poker, that there was like a family, or was it like like a son and daughter or something that came in, and their father had recently died, and Pai Gow Poker was his favorite game.
Yeah, it was the dad's favorite game.
Right. So to honor him, they came to Atlantic City and played some Pai Gow Poker.
And it wasn't like they were Pai Gow Poker players. They just, this is dad's game, and so we're going to play.
Right. So there's a side bet at a lot of Pai Gow Poker tables. I'm not sure what the side bet's called. It's some jackpot bonus, but you put just $1 out there and you get paid, a certain amount of money if you get certain hands. But the jackpot is if you get a 7-card straight flush.
Right.
Which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, all 7 of your cards have to form a straight
flush. It can be with or without the joker. There's a joker in Pai Gow Poker that can fill in straights and flushes and straight flushes. And you can use that. But anyway, 7-card straight flush, you get the jackpot. And in fact, out here at RingCon, that jackpot for $1 bet is like...
Oh, it's like $350-something thousand.
Yeah. So,
and if you get 5 aces, you get 10% of that, which is still $35,000.
Yeah. So it's a good. So he was telling us a story about this family came. They were honoring his father. They weren't making this side bet, and so Scott, the dealer, said, "Oh, go ahead, throw a buck out there. What the heck?" And he said, "I don't remember. It was like 3 or 4 hands later.
Right.
Sure enough, they hit the 7.
He dealt him a 7-card straight
flush. So he was
saying how he'll never deal that again in his life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was some million to 1. I was going to write that down. I can't remember. But it's. I mean, think about how hard
million to 1.
Chance
of happening.
Yeah. And he did say that at one point they were making tips for him, and he almost moved his. They were saying, "Oh, but here, bet this wherever you like." He almost put it on the jackpot.
Yeah.
And then he didn't. So I don't know if if the dealer would have gotten paid part of the jackpot or not.
Right. But, I wonder how that would work.
So we had an absolute blast, though, playing with our listeners, Jim and Ed. We were so glad to meet them. They were both
super nice guys.
Super great guys, yeah.
And, our kind of guys, right? They were there to gamble.
Yeah, and have fun. And have fun. Oh, yeah. So it was just, they were so gracious, and it was just, we really had a good time.
Yeah, so. I was coming home, I was thinking to myself, I'm glad those are the people listening to us.
Yeah.
Seriously, because, we don't know who's listening to this or anything.
Sure, right.
But from now on, I'm going to believe that they're all like Jim and Ed, and that'll make me feel happy.
Exactly. That's great. So when we got to Harrah's that first night, we were ready to eat, and we thought, well, let's go check out the Diamond Lounge here.
Right.
Because your brother has said that, the Diamond Lounges are real good in Atlantic City.
Yeah, my brother goes there quite often because he travels a lot. So he's been to Atlantic City quite a few times.
So we found the Diamond Lounge at Harrah's, and we went in, and it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a buffet, not as big as their regular buffet, but a full buffet.
Right.
Free buffet, free drinks, free mixed drinks, everything. Right. And it was great. We had some ham and soup.
It's a great way to eat because it's quick.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good food. And you get in, you get out. You can order an alcoholic beverage or, a Coke or whatever you want.
Yep. So, that was great, that Diamond Lounge there. And we were thinking, oh, my gosh, this is like light years beyond the Diamond Lounge at RingCon.
Yeah. Well, RingCon, it's really not food. Okay. It's like appetizers.
There's chips that you can get. There's popcorn.
And they do serve a few appetizers.
They come around with appetizers like pot stickers, and they have some desserts. Yeah. Which is fine.
You can't really make a meal out of it.
No. So we couldn't.
A lot of times we do because we don't want to stop and eat. So our dinner is like, 12 pot stickers and some chips and then a little piece of cake, and we're back to the table. But
so the Diamond Lounge at Harrah's is like, oh my gosh, why don't they have this at RingCon? This is beyond. So the next morning is when we went to Caesars, and it was in the morning. We thought, well, let's go see if the Diamond Lounge here is open for breakfast. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah, this is before we met up with Jim and Ed.
Right. So we went in there and had another great buffet.
Oh, God, that was even better.
Oh, it was
the
better.
Breakfast was amazing.
Yep.
they had everything. It was like a full-on regular buffet breakfast, but it was free.
Yeah, exactly. Great view of the ocean, where it was with the windows and everything. So we're thinking, oh, man, God, Diamond Lounge is the way to go. Your brother was saying that he thought the Diamond Lounges in Atlantic City are even better than the ones in Vegas.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He said Atlantic City was better than Vegas. Yeah. Now, we've never really taken advantage of that much, but this next time in a few weeks when I go to Vegas, I'm going to check them out.
Oh, I know.
And see and try and compare them.
Yeah, definitely. Shortly after that is when we met up with Jim at Pai Gow Tiles, and he was saying, "Oh, have you been to the Seven Stars Lounge?" And we said, "Oh yeah, we ate at the Diamond Lounge this morning." He said, "No, the 7-Star Lounge." And we were, what?
Yeah, we didn't know there was a 7-Star Lounge.
How come you didn't know? Because you're the 7 Stars guy.
Yeah, but nobody told me. Nobody ever said, "Oh, by the way, we have a lounge." I mean, they don't have one at Rincon. I'm assuming, unless they've been hiding that from me. And if they have, I'm going to be really upset. But I don't think there's one there.
So Jim said, "Oh, you've got to check out the 7-Star Lounge." So later that night, we thought, okay, we were about to head back to Harrah's.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, before we do, let's go check out the 7 Stars Lounge.
Yeah, I think we had gone to Bally's and we had gone to Trump Plaza and we had done a few things. Right. And we were actually going back to Caesars to return my dad's scooter.
That's right.
And we thought, well, before we head back, let's check out the 7-Star Lounge.
So, yeah, we found it. Took us a little while to find, actually. We took some wrong elevators and, it said that there's not a lot of signage.
It's not marked either.
I did see one sign, but when you get there, it's not that obvious. Yeah, right. Yeah. So we went in. I mean, this was fabulous.
Yeah.
It was, a sit down, order off the menu, waited on by a wait staff, completely free for 7 stars. Well, you got us in. There were 4 of us.
Yeah. And I didn't ask, but I mean, there were 4 of us and I just told her there's 4. I'm thinking, maybe we're going to have to, maybe you can only bring 1 or 2. And she, oh, fine. Right this way.
Yeah. This was great. I'm trying to remember what we had, but,
oh gosh, I know I had too much. I had two different items.
That's right. You ordered like 2.
I think entrees. I had prime rib and, no, maybe that was the second.
Well, you did have, both of you and I had one of those burgers. It was it was a small burger, but really delicious.
Yeah.
Caesar salad that was great.
Caesar salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my dad had like a
you know what it was
crab something or other.
Yeah, and wasn't it like Philly cheesesteak?
Philly cheesesteak pot stickers.
Was that it?
They were good.
Yeah. So, here we had thought, oh, what restaurants are we going to eat at? We ended up just eating at, the Diamond Lounge in the morning, the 7 Stars Lounge.
Yeah, we went on a 3.5-day trip. We didn't pay for food once.
No.
I mean, it's crazy.
And so, Jim was telling us, oh, they've got a 7 Stars Lounge over at Harrah's also. So the next day around lunchtime.
Yeah, on Sunday.
We went to the 7 Stars Lounge there. Same kind of thing. Order off the menu. Your brother and I had lobster rolls. Right. And you had like sliders. They were like short rib sliders.
Short rib sliders, and then I think that's where I had the prime rib too.
Okay, yeah,
prime
that's
rib
what that's
there, and a chili. They had a big bowl of chili that was good. I mean, there was all kinds of appetizers, all kinds of desserts.
So I felt kind of stupid for not knowing about the 7 Stars Lounge.
Yeah, but
then again, I'm not 7 stars, so really, you're the one who should feel stupid about it.
Well, like I said, nobody told me, and I don't know. They're not marked. They don't promote that. I guess it's like a hidden thing you're supposed to know about.
There's a website that's not run by Caesars. Just some guy. It's like 7 Stars Insider or something.
Right.
I showed you that. You need to start looking at that regularly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do it.
I won't do that.
I'll do it all as usual.
I won't do that. I rely on other people to feed me information.
Yeah, basically me.
Basically you. Yeah.
So I don't drink very often. I'm not a teetotaler, but alcohol doesn't do much for me. But I do have an exception. Usually when we go on a gambling trip, I do drink quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a time you do drink.
Yep. So when I'm at the tables, I'm ordering drinks constantly. And I usually order Long Island iced teas. And for those who don't know what that is, it is a very strong drink. One of the strongest drinks.
Pretty much got everything.
Oh, it's got like 5 different kinds of alcohol in it. It's got some sweet and sour mix, a little Coca-Cola. I mean, you'll get a buzz pretty quick.
Just no iced tea.
Right. There's no tea in it at all. It's got its name because it kind of tastes like iced tea, but there's no tea in it at all. So I'm ordering these one after the other at the tables. Long Island. I am not feeling a thing. I'm convinced, even the way that it tastes, that it's just all sweet and sour mix. They just pour that in, maybe a little Coke in that.
Well, they're not going to give you a lot of alcohol.
Well, give me some. I mean, when I'm ordering the strongest drink that there is and I'm not feeling anything. So
you were drunk. You just don't remember.
That's right. It was the whole. Well, I actually tweeted about this. I said, "Oh my gosh, these drinks are so watered down," and Greg on Twitter suggested I start drinking shots, which I could have done, but that's rough. Kevin on Twitter suggested I start drinking beers. So that's what I did. Even though beer I'm not big on. It's like, okay, well, I'll start drinking some beer. So
I drank a few beers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you weren't the person passed out in the hallway in front of our room. That was another guy.
That's right. It was like it might have been the last night. I actually went back to the room.
Yeah.
You were still playing.
Yeah, I think it was the last night.
Yeah.
Right.
And right there in front of our door, a guy just passed out.
Yeah, just laying in the hall.
So I was able to get around him. I thought, well, I'm not going to try to wake this guy up. I just went into the room and called security. They came out and took him away.
Just sleeping it off in the hall.
I hope I'm remembering that right. I hope it wasn't me that was actually passed out and security came and helped me into the room.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't know. When I got back, you were in the room.
Okay, and there was nobody passed out in the hall when you got back, right?
No.
So I started drinking beer. And it's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit of a buzz, but I'll tell you, when we went to those 7-star lounges,
yeah, they give you real drinks.
I ordered Long Island iced tea, and boom! I mean that was not watered down.
Yeah, it was. Those lounges were amazing.
It was great.
Remember my dad? My dad kept saying, "I'm never going to forget this."
Your dad was
I'm never going to forget
pink.
this.
Oh my gosh, he couldn't believe it. He was just sitting there. That's right. For the rest of my life, I'm going to remember this. He said, "This is the best." Oh, he loved it. He loved it.
He loved the lounges.
Well, I was drinking so by that Saturday night, I've been drinking quite a bit. So finally, I'm a little drunk, not terrible. I wasn't passing out or blacking out or anything. Right. But we made our way over to Revel, and we met up with Jim again. And played some craps, and my breath was probably pretty bad at that point. Could you?
Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't terrible.
Wasn't bad. I felt bad because Jim was right next to me, and hi Jim, it's good to see you again.
My senses were kind of dulled because I was focusing on craps, and some of the other things that were going on in the casino, watching people. But I didn't really.
All right. Well,
you could have reeked.
Jim, sorry if my breath was bad there at the end, but blame it on the booze. So we played a little Keno while we were there. And if you recall, if you've listened to the one episode where we talked about Keno, we love playing it in the restaurants. That's kind of the fun way to play, right, when you're sitting at tables. But there was no Keno in any of the restaurants.
No, Keno's dead.
It really is almost
dead.
Completely dead. But Harrah's had a Keno lounge, if you can call it that.
Yeah. I mean, it was like 2 little windows and about 4 chairs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was small.
They had no brochures.
Yeah, so I got there that first. What Mike and I like to do is we like to bet like 20 games in a row right before we go to bed. Live like $20, $1 a game,
right.
And go to bed, wake up the next morning, go to the Keno lounge and see if we won any, right? So I went in there and I'm looking and they've got all the crayons and all the sheets to fill out, but no brochures, that list what the payouts are and the different way tickets.
Yeah, I didn't even know, I'm big on the 20 spot. I like to do a 20 spot.
Yeah.
And a $5 20 spot.
Yeah.
And, I don't even know if they had that.
They probably did. But as soon as I got there, no brochures. So I went up to the window. And I said, "Oh, do you have any brochures, that show the payouts and everything?" And the woman kind of, hang on. And she kind of went behind the counter and she came back up with this crunkled up old brochure and handed it to me. And she said, "Yeah, I'm going to need that back." They had one brochure and they're going to need it back.
You should have just ripped it up. Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. That's what I think of Keno.
Oh, man. So this is if you didn't think it was a dead game,
it's not even worth printing more brochures. Yeah, if anyone asks, we got this one brochure and they got a chain around it and everything,
That's right. So you can't take it away. You can't steal it. Whatever you do. Oh my gosh. But see now, the Keno people were real nice.
Oh, they were. They remembered our name.
Yeah,
in the
we
morning.
came back the next day.
It was the same ladies. Yeah. And this is weird too. The Keno lounge closes.
Oh, right. So
at
they
a
don't.
certain time.
Right. It's not Keno 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Because we used to play overnight. You'd wake up and you could check your card on the TV. It'd already be long since done, right?
Right.
Well, we got up in the morning and our card wasn't done.
Yeah, they hadn't even played 20 games yet.
Yes.
After we'd gone to sleep. So yeah, it closes down for a while. So we had to come back. So yeah, I played a 4-spot. You did too. We didn't
all I did was play a 4-spot.
and that's all I did. And we didn't even, ahead of time say, oh, let's do the same thing because we weren't there at the same time.
No, I just wanted something easy.
Yeah. So we both played a 4-spot for 20 games. And I think we ended up doing it 3 times over the trip. And I got back like $2 once and $7 once and something like that.
Yeah. I got, I think 7 and then I got like 3 something. But the third time I had hit a 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
So I got $127 or $26, something like that was the payout.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that I might have hit a few other things.
Yeah, I think the 100, so the 120 was probably when you hit the 4 out of 4.
Right.
And then you probably got like a 2 here or there or something like that.
Else.
Yeah, so you're up for Keno on the trip.
Yep, up for Keno on the trip. That's number 2. Up for Pai Gow Tiles, up for Keno on the trip.
Nice. Very good. Well, speaking of dead and dying games, we were playing craps at Harrah's, and behind us was the Big Six wheel. It's that, big, carnival wheel that they spin. It's called Big Six. Who knows why it's called Big Six?
Just pick a number, bet on it.
But we've talked about it before. We talked about it on our episode about dead and dying games. And yeah, it's just it's a big wheel that they spin with different numbers on it. And you can just make your bet ahead of time by putting your chips or your money on some of the numbers. So for example, if you put your money on a 2, and a 2 comes up on the wheel, you get paid 2 to 1.
2 to 1, right.
Right. If you put it on a 1, you get paid 1 to 1.
And there's more 1s on the wheel than there are 2s, and there's more 1s and 2s than there are 5s. And, and there's usually 1 or 2 45 to 1s.
Right. So we're playing craps, and that's going on behind us, and it was hopping. The Big Six wheel was hopping.
You couldn't even I was looking over to see what they were doing. You couldn't even get near the table. There were so many people.
There were so many people, and the cheers went up every once in a while. Every once in a while they'd hit a 45. I mean, I couldn't, it's not a dead or dying game. It's the biggest game in the casino.
It was crazy. So one time there was a big loud roar and Mark said, what hit? What hit? And I turned around, I was closest. I looked over there and it looked to me like it was a 1. I'm like, it's a 1. We're thinking it can't be a 1. Well, it wasn't a 1, it was a 5. And they were screaming like, I thought they'd hit another 45. Yeah. It was a 5. And somebody must have, put $100 on 5 or something.
Something like that. It was jumping. So Big Six wheel, not as dead or dying as we thought.
I should have played.
Yeah, you should have. You might have done.
I didn't play Big Six wheel. I didn't play roulette. And at one point I told you I was going to go play some roulette. Oh, that's right, yeah. Just so I could maybe win and be up for roulette too.
Roulette there are some interesting rules for roulette in Atlantic City. If you are betting on the outside, that's like an even money bet. So if you're betting like even odd, or you're betting like red or black, and if 0 or double 0 comes up, you only lose half your wager.
Right.
So it's kind of like the I think you pronounce it en prison, like in Europe, where it kind of they put a chip on it that says, in prison, and, they spin it again. But Atlantic City, you just get half your money back. So that makes it a little better odds playing roulette.
It is nicer.
But yeah, we didn't play that at all. But we headed over to the Showboat. On, I guess it was probably the last full day we were there.
Right. I think that was Sunday.
We decided to go over there because it had lower limits, like $5 tables, which we knew your dad would like.
Right.
And it's still a Caesars property, so we'd get credit on, our total rewards.
Yeah, my brother said there were TVs everywhere, so we wanted to watch the Charger game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So we were going to watch the Charger game and play a little bit there till the game was over, which is what we did.
Yep. So when we got there, I noticed that they had a game called Flop Poker. It was something I'd read about, and I wanted to play when we were at Atlantic City. So I said, come on, Mike, play some flop poker. Let's play.
Not interested.
Mike wouldn't have anything to do with it.
Nope, not interested. He went right to the craps table.
That's right. So I said, well, I'm going to play some flop poker. And it's a kind of a carnival game, poker-based carnival game, very similar to other kind of poker-based games like Let It Ride or Mississippi Stud, something like that. But what makes it unique is there's a bet that you make on the table called the pot bet. You just bet what everybody has to make it, and it's just the minimum bet on the table. So if it's a $5 table, everyone has to make a $5 pot bet. And at the end of the hand, when the hand's over, whichever player at the table made the best poker hand wins that pot bet. So you're actually playing against, other players at the table.
Yeah.
And there's no house edge on it. The house does not take any, commission from that pot bet. So that's kind of fun. You're playing, I'm not going to go into all the payouts, but you make an ante bet and this pot bet. And the dealer collects all the pot money, puts it aside. And then you get 3 cards down. You look at your 3 cards, and if you want to stay in, you have to make it's like a raise bet. And then the dealer turns over 3 community cards, and then you make your 5-card hand using exactly your 3 down cards and 2 from the community board.
Okay, so you have 6 cards to choose
6 cards to choose from, but you can only use 2 from the community board. Right. So like one player thought he had a full house, but he didn't because he couldn't use all 3 from the board, right? But anyway, then, your bets get paid at, even money or odds, depending on how good your hand is. And then even if you haven't made the raise bet, even if you've just, in a sense, folded, at the end, if you made the best hand, like there are a couple times where I just had crappy cards and just, I'm not going to continue the bet. But the cards stay out there and I made like 2 pair, with my crummy cards and I won the pot bet.
Right.
So even if you don't play, you get this pot bet. And it was a good group of people that I was playing with and it was a $5 minimum. And so I had a lot of fun. Now, there is a side bet that you can make called the 3-card side bet, 3-card bonus. And I did not bet that because I figured, these side bets usually have a pretty big house edge. And, I haven't played the game before, and so I'm not going to do it. So I was the only player at the table not making this 3-card, bonus side bet.
It does not surprise me.
So every once in a while, I'd get a hand that would have paid off on this 3-card bonus, right? Like I'd end up with a pair or a straight or something like that.
And your response is, well, what about all the other hands that I didn't win? Yeah, well, that's what you always tell me. Okay, go on.
So everybody at the table has given me all sorts of grief.
Right. I would have been all over.
Oh, yeah. And there was one guy who was very animated. Man, you got to make the bet, right? Look how cheap the table is. Oh, yeah. I guess I blew it. I should have made that bet. Oh, well, stupid me. So it continues on. Finally, I look down at a hand and I've got a straight flush, 7, 8, 9 of diamonds. And I'm thinking, oh man, they're going to really give me a lot of grief now because it would have paid 50 to 1. The $5 bet that I would have made would have paid $250. Said, all right, here it comes. And they flipped it over. And so everybody else at the table was making this 3-card bonus bet, right? And, oh man, what are you doing? You're crazy. Finally, the guy next to me just said, here, can I make the bet? And I said, yeah. So, he would put $5 out. It was his money.
Did he get paid ever?
Every once in a while, sure.
Oh,
whenever we'd get paid, I'd always give it to him. There weren't any really big hands after that.
Right. But he's probably thinking, what the hell? I missed the 250.
Right? While we were there, one of the guys made a royal, right? Just a queen, king, ace of clubs.
Oh, wow. Nice.
In the 3-card bonus. And that paid 100 to 1. So he got $500 for that. Yeah. But I played the whole time, right? You guys, you were expecting me to come over to the craps table after a while.
Yeah, I thought, 5 minutes, he'll be over here.
I just stayed there, and I lost.
You missed the fire bet. We made a fire bet on the
I didn't know that. What, 4?
4.
Oh,
Christopher rolled it right off the bat, my brother.
Oh.
Rolled it right off the bat.
Oh, well.
So that was our first thing. So we got up for the table, and we ended up winning at craps.
Yeah, well, if I'd been with you, I guess I would have won. I lost at flop poker, but I had a very good time.
You learned a new game.
People were nice. They learned a new game. So flop poker, thumbs up, at least as far as enjoyment goes. I don't know. It's probably terrible from a house advantage point of view, but I had a good time playing it. So we did not get to every casino in Atlantic City. That was kind of our goal initially.
Yeah.
But after talking with people, they said, okay, if you've got kind of a limited amount of time, it would have been hard to get your dad to all the casinos.
Oh, it would have been. Yeah. If it's just you and I, we would have done it.
Yeah,
we would have walked to them all.
Right. They say you've got to at least go to Revel and to Borgata. Those are the 2 nice ones.
Right.
So that Saturday night, we went to Revel and we signed up for their player's card as soon as we got there. Oh, very nice. I don't know what you thought of the place.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah. I mean,
it's very nice.
I thought it was very nice. And we went up that big escalator that everybody, I don't know if people are familiar with the Revel or if they've heard stories. There's this
very scary,
big, scary escalator.
Mark's drunk and he's hanging on the side. Mike, look over the side. Look over the side. I'm like, nah, I don't need to look over the side.
I didn't die.
No, you didn't die.
As far as I know. So we went to the Players Club, said, oh, what kind of sign up bonus do they have? And we'll give you your card and then you slide to the kiosk and you press a button and it's like a random prize that you get. So we all did this and we all got $5 in free play.
Yeah, $5 in free play.
Great.
Yeah. $5 in free play.
So we took our card to a video poker machine and put it in, and we couldn't get the $5 to come up. And finally,
you couldn't. I got mine.
Well, no, you're thinking of the Borgata the next night. It wouldn't work at all.
That's
at Revel, right?
Right. We had to ask.
We had to ask.
Said, you got to put some money in.
Yeah. So you can't just go and then immediately get your money like we're used to with a card. You actually have to put some money in to get it going.
Yeah, to get it going.
Yeah. So we played.
But we actually both won. I don't know how my dad and brother did, but we actually.
Yeah, I think
didn't you turn your 5 into like 6 or something? I turned mine like into 8 or 9.
Just 4 hands, right? We were playing like quarter video poker, right? Yeah. So yeah, we had to put a $5 bill in first, and then we got the $5 credit. So we have 10 total. Yeah. Right. We just played 4 hands and then cashed out. Yeah. So we did okay.
Well, the best thing about the Revel was the trapeze act in the middle of the craps tables.
Oh, you're talking about
the wire that extends in the middle of the table.
That's right. So we got to the craps table, and yeah, sure enough, maybe people have seen this before. There was a wire, a stiff wire, running across the middle of the craps table, about a half inch off the felt?
No, probably not even that much.
Quarter of an inch. Yeah. And it's there basically to do 2 things. Number one, they want you to toss the dice past that middle point, the wire. And also, supposedly, it prevents people from sliding the dice, across the table.
This is the only casino I've ever been in where they're that worried about dice sliding.
Yeah.
That they put a wire there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it because several times I rolled and not even, sliding the dice. I just throwing them, but one would land short and hit that wire and go all wanky.
Yeah, and I believe it was a 7 out.
It was
every
a 7
time.
out twice that I did that.
It was good superstition. But yeah, so that was the only place. That's the only place I've ever seen the actual wire. I think I've been to some places where the middle of the table's raised a little bit, or there might be a wire like under the felt so that it's raised up, so it's not
right.
flat.
You're right. I have seen, and in Vegas, we were somewhere, and I can't remember. This was quite a few years ago, where there was like a little hump.
Right.
The wire wasn't actually exposed.
You couldn't
but there was
see,
like a little hump. So if you did try to slide something, it hit that hump and bounce in the air.
Right. But this was an actual, this was a wire you could see, and it was out there. So we played there for a little while, did not have very good luck.
No.
It was right by a bar where there was a live band, a very good band.
The band was good,
yeah. So
it was loud.
It was loud. Your dad came, we were playing there a while, and then he came by and said, I don't like this place.
Yeah, he didn't like it because he had lost.
Right.
And they raised the limits.
Oh, they did.
He was on like a $10 table, and then all of a sudden it was going to be like 15 or something.
Oh.
And so he didn't like that. And then our table, the craps, I was telling you, we were at a table, it was a $10 table.
Yeah.
And I shot the dice. And my roll ended, and then Jim was standing next to me, and he was going to roll the dice, and the pit guy turned to him and said, after this shooter, it'll be a $50 table. It was going from 10 to 50.
Really?
Yeah.
That's strange.
And we looked at each other, what? 50?
Yeah, why jump up that much?
Yeah, I don't know. And,
that's...
one of the dealers looked at us and said, maybe some high roller wants the table to himself or something, wants to clear it off. So then we left shortly after that. Yeah, we didn't stay after that.
And then the next night we headed over to Borgata, where we knew they had a better sign-up bonus than Revel. So if you go to Borgata and you go to their players club and you show them a diamond or a 7 stars card from Caesars, they give you their like black card.
Right, which is like their second highest or
something like that. Plus $100 in free play, plus $20 in comps. Just straight up.
Yeah.
So that was much better. So we all got that deal. Yeah. We all went to the machines and
got
played our $100.
And we all did well.
Yeah,
I did the worst, and I cashed out for 107.
Right.
And I was kind of happy. I'm like, I started with 100 fake money, and I got 107 real money. Well, it turns out I did the worst of the 4 of us.
Yeah, I cashed out for like 126. Your brother was playing some slot and cashed out for over 200. Yeah, and your dad won too. So that was great. So we went over to the craps table, and you are known as Two-Way World Mike.
Yep.
Certainly up at Rincon.
I like to place the two-way world bet on the come out.
That's your moniker. So a two-way bet is when you make a bet for yourself and a bet for the dealer. And what Mike typically does is if he makes this two-way world bet, and if it wins, he parlays it for himself and for the dealers.
And I push it all to the horn.
Yeah.
So I start off with a world and I push it to the horn. And, you know, some people chastise me for that because then if 7 comes up, it loses. But if 2, 3, 11, or 12, it pays better.
Right.
And I'm going for the big win.
But the point is that Mike makes a bet for the dealers, and if it wins, he parlays it.
I like to parlay theirs with mine.
Right. So we're at Borgata, and Mike makes the two-way world bet. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but 7 came up.
Right.
Which is a push on the world.
Right.
It's technically a push. It's what happens is the 7 part of the world bet wins,
right.
and it covers the rest of the bet.
And everything else loses, and it comes out a tie.
Right. So 7 came up, and the dealer said, "Oh, sir, we have to come down off the bet now. The bet has been won, and so now
they took their $5.
They took their $5 down. So then you said, "Oh, from now on, piggyback that wager."
Yeah, I thought he just didn't realize what I wanted to do.
And piggybacking just means when I'm making the bet for you, I have control over your bet. So if I don't want you to collect right away, maybe I want to parlay like I typically do.
People call it piggybacking, or they'll call it player control. You'll hear that a lot.
Player control or piggybacking. So the player has control over when the dealers get paid. And they told you, "Oh, sorry, no piggybacking."
Yeah. It's a casino policy, evidently.
Yeah, because all the other places we played, it was no problem you piggybacking.
No, it's never been a problem anywhere. That's the first place I've ever heard of that. They actually have a policy, no piggybacking. And I turned to the dealer and I said, oh, yeah, we don't want the dealers to make too much money. And it was a lady who was on the stick at the time, and she said, "Believe me, we all agree with you. There was a lot of controversy when they started this, but, we have no say over it."
And I guess, maybe they don't want them winning big, your bet, right? A piggyback on a world bet or something like that.
Right. They don't want them to win, $100 in one shot or something.
So that was frustrating for you, for sure. And then we weren't winning either. So and so your dad, "Oh, I don't like this place." So the two nicest places supposedly in Atlantic City, Revel and Borgata. No, let's get out of here. So we didn't spend much time.
We're down there. We're more showboat people.
That's right. And the $20 comps, we tried to use those in the gift shop, and we can only use $10.
It's a 2 for 1. She said it's 2 for 1. Yeah, so if something costs $10, you need $20 of comps to pay for it.
So what do you use? How can you take $20 worth of $20 comps if you can't use it at the gift shop?
Yeah, you get $10. We bought candy.
Yeah, whatever. It was free. So at least we won the free play there.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about craps and some of our craps experiences there. They've got a great rule in Atlantic City. We read about this ahead of time. I wasn't sure if it was real, but here's the way it goes. If you make a bet for the dealers that's, say, just $1, placing the 6, which people do not that often, but, at casinos all over the country. "Oh, give me here a $1, place the 6 for you guys, for the dealers." So let me use 5 as an example. "Oh, place the 5 for $1. If that bet wins, technically it should pay $1.40.
Right.
Because the payoff on a 5 is 7 to 5.
Right.
But of course they don't have 40-cent chips, and they're not dime chips, and they're not going to put money out there. So they just round down. So if you make a place bet on the 5 wins, they just get $1. Should pay $1.40, but they just round down. Well, there was this player whose name is William Gumper, who didn't think that was fair.
And evidently, from what we heard from one of the dealers, I think it was that Scott, same dealer.
Yep.
He told us that this guy is one of those guys that gets stuff done.
Right.
When he decides he wants something changed, he just bugs the hell out of everybody till it gets done.
So this William Gumper went to the Casino Control Commission. He said, "Hey, the dealers are getting gypped every time one of these bets is made. They're not getting paid correctly. Yeah. They should get paid correctly, or something else should happen." So amazingly, the Casino Control Commission agreed, and they stated that when a payoff comes for the dealers here, they have to round up. So now when you make a place bet on the 5 for them for $1, Again, it should pay $1.40. If it hits, it pays $2.
Yeah, it's a great bet.
So what happens is you get, here, place the 5 for you for $1. When a 5 hits, they win the $2 payoff plus the $1 that you put out there, and they collect $3 total.
Yeah. So now if I was doing that, could I say, hey, player control, leave that $3 up there?
Some places will let you do it, but they still just round up. So $3 would just pay 4.
Right, would pay 4 because it pays $3.50. But then you'd have 7. You could leave 6, and then you'd have, or 5, let's say, and you get 7 for 5.
It depends on it depends on the casino on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, theoretically, most of them will let you leave that out there if you ask for player control, except Borgata.
That's right, except for Borgata.
Except for
no
Borgata.
Dealer control. Maybe that's why.
Control.
Maybe that's why they don't have it.
Maybe
because of that
seriously, because you could bump their bets up fast.
I love this because every time I make a bet for the dealers, I always think, boy, in all the years that people have been betting for dealers, think about how much more money the dealers would have gotten if people had just tossed them the chip instead of making a bet on the table for them.
Right. Oh,
they would have been,
significantly more money.
It's ridiculous to even think about. Here's a case where it's actually better to make that bet for them than to just toss them the $1.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, it pays better than.
So I was doing that quite a bit. And I was placing the 6 and 8 because 6 and 8 come up more than the other numbers, and they still get paid 2 to 1 on that. So that was every casino. It's a state law, so every casino that was the case.
Kudos to New Jersey.
Yeah, love that. Now, it's kind of on the flip side. We found out there that it's also a New Jersey law that you cannot make a put bet at the craps table. Now, all a put bet is if you come up to the table in the middle of a roll, middle of a hand, there's already been a point established. A put bet is when you just put money straight onto the pass line. It's a bad bet because you're not getting the advantage of that come out roll. And,
it's amazing they don't let you do it because it's in their favor.
I think the reason that
the commission wanted to protect people who don't know the game.
Right. And that's the same reason they don't have like the big 6 and 8 on the craps table, which is an even money bet, which is a stupid bet because you could always place it. So they wouldn't allow put bets. And the way we found out was your brother had like $5 on the line and the come out roll was like a 6, and he took odds and he thought, I want to bet more on the 6. So he tried to increase his pass line bet, which is a put bet, adding to your pass line bet is a put bet. And they stopped him from doing it.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah.
You could just place it.
Right. If you want to increase it, place it.
You just place the point.
But it's funny because put bets in certain circumstances are actually better than place bets.
Right.
If the casino's offering high enough free odds.
Right.
Like we played
they were all 5 times odds, by the way, in Atlantic City.
Right. But at Bally's, it was Bally's.
Bally's or Showboat?
It was Bally's. It was 10 times odds.
10 times odds, right.
So in that case, without going into a lot of the numbers, if you could have made put come bets,
right,
and taken full odds, that's a better payout than making place bets. Sure, but anyway, we won't belabor that point, but it was no put bets allowed there too. Also,
evidently no chewing tobaccos allowed.
That's right. That's right. We were at some table. There was some guy who
walked up with a wad in his cheek.
Yeah. And he was kind of bent out of shape that they wouldn't let him.
Yeah. I was laughing about that because it's like, you know what? It's chewing tobacco. You've got to spit. I mean, I don't want a guy spitting at the table really either, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not getting on the table, he's got to have a cup. I don't want to see that.
Yeah. That's a good rule. I'll go along with that. That might be a casino by casino rule. I don't know.
It should be I'll tell you what, it should be a universal rule. Just get rid of chewing tobacco, period.
That's probably a good idea. Well, our good old Tony Gwynn, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Padre, right? He got cancer as a result of that chewing tobacco.
Carotid gland cancer.
Yeah. Here actually is a hard 6 story for episode 33.
Okay.
When I was rolling, every time I rolled, I set the dice to a hard 6. The V shape, right? Where you set the 3s together so that it makes like an upside down V. Yeah. And I rolled every time for my dice influencing.
How'd that work for you?
Better than at Rincon, where I rolled like an immediate 7 out 4 times in a row.
I think you did 2 on this trip. Didn't you have 2 in a row?
Well, but my rolls overall were pretty good.
Your rolls were much better in Atlantic City.
Yeah,
you're definitely an East Coast roller.
Okay. So that every time on that, we were at one table where I don't remember. There was a guy at the other end of the table rolling the dice. I wasn't really looking at him. But at one point, you yelled out, "Come on, Charles Manson, roll the 6." And the dealer starts cracking up, kind of turns the other way and starts cracking
laughing.
up. And I look down there, and sure enough, it was Charles Manson.
It was Charles Manson rolling the dice.
So I started doing it to, "Come on, Chuck, roll him. Come on, Charles Manson." I don't know if he heard you or not.
I don't think he did. I hope not.
And then this story, this is pretty amazing. We were playing at Harrah's late one night, and there was this woman there who was obviously drunk.
Very drunk. Didn't
really know the game, but had played it before and was just talking up a storm and yapping to us. And
she had some winning rolls, I guess.
Yeah.
And so she was winning money. She was happy. Yeah.
And so you said, when it's her turn to roll, I'm going to really go out there on her.
Right.
And, sure enough, she had a great roll.
She had a great roll. She had a great roll.
But we were playing with her for a while. I finally said, "Okay, I'm done for the night." And I went and cashed out.
She was trying to get you to stay too.
I know.
"No, you can't leave. You can't leave. You're here with us."
Yeah.
And "No, I'm leaving." "No, you can't leave." She kept telling me.
"I'll leave. You know me." Yeah. Peer pressure has no effect on me whatsoever. So I went and cashed out. But then I came back to the table to see how you guys were doing.
Right.
And she said to me, "Oh gosh, I shouldn't do this, but here, can you cash out these chips for me? Go to the cashier because all my friends are back at the bar and they're calling me. They want me to come back." She gave me 4 $100 chips.
So a woman who doesn't know us,
complete stranger,
from anybody else, gives Mark $400 to go to the cat. You should have just took it and ran.
I should have, like a comic, a cartoon running away from the table.
Right. But excuse me.
She gives me $400 and I start to walk away. And of course I'm going to go cash it in for her. I'm not going to go anywhere with it. But as I'm walking away, I'm kind of looking at the pit and the dealers and they're kind of giving me the stink eye. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? I'll just buy the chips off her right here. I've got $400 in my pocket.
Right.
So that's what I ended up doing. But she would have let me walk away and go to the cashier.
I told her, I said, "You are the most trusting person I've ever met." And she said, "Well, I'm kind of drunk." But,
yeah, that was the key.
But, she probably would have, she felt like she knew us.
Yeah, after talking to us for so long. Yeah. So.
And she tried to kiss me.
That's right. On the lips.
On the lips. Yeah. I'm like, no. That's okay.
Oh, so you didn't care for that. Your dad had a situation that he didn't like too. That was kind of a.
He was he had this one favorite, Spanish 21 table. Turned out it was like right next to the bar, and there was a DJ playing music, and the speakers, he was right next to the speaker. Now, his hearing's not so good.
Right.
So, it didn't bug him that much, although it did bother him a little, because when I said something about it, he said, "Oh, yeah, it was terrible loud." I'm thinking, well, why didn't you move? You sat there for 10 hours. But, he liked that. He liked that table. And he said, "Yeah, I didn't like the music, and I didn't like her sexy butt in my face all night." Because I guess the DJ was a woman, and she's dancing as the music's playing, and she's shaking her behind, right? He said, "I didn't like that sexy butt in my face all night."
Oh, it was fun to go with your dad.
He went 25 hours without eating. So he went over a full day.
87 years old.
Without
almost 88.
eating, because, he just couldn't pull himself away from the table. And he slept significantly less than all of us.
Oh, yeah.
How he, made it, I don't know. And I called him the day after we got back. He was up at his normal time. So
there was one night we got back to the room, or maybe it was the next morning. You were going to put your shoes on.
Right.
And I don't know how you did this. It turned out for almost the entire weekend we were there, you had like wads of paper in your shoe.
Stuck in my shoe.
What happened?
Well, the first night I had all these receipts and stuff from, I don't know, the plane or whatever. They were in my pocket. And I was getting ready for bed. I took them out and I just threw my watch and my wallet and everything in my shoe so I wouldn't lose it, right?
Okay.
And I guess the next morning I got my watch and the wallet and everything else out, but I forgot that paper was in there and I just put my shoe on. So I walked around with that paper in my shoe for like 2.5 days. And I'll tell you what, paper does not do good in a shoe after 2.5 days.
He opens it up. I can't imagine. He opens it up. It's completely disintegrated.
I'm just just dumping it out. You can't even tell what it is anymore. It's just like dust.
How, if I've got just a little something in my shoe, it drives me crazy. You walked around the whole weekend with like a big receipt that was just deteriorating as you walked around.
Did I mention we were playing craps a lot?
He dumped it out on the floor and then just left it there and left a big tip for the maid. Didn't try to clean it up or anything.
It was going to be impossible to clean. You need a vacuum cleaner for that.
Oh my gosh. Then there was another time where the elevator got there we were going downstairs. Yeah. The elevator got there and it dinged. And what, your shoe was untied?
My shoe was untied. I've been over to tie my shoe. Mark gets in the elevator and I said, hold it. Just hold on. I'm coming. And he said, no, I can't. There's people in here. We give each other grief all the time. So I thought for sure he was kidding. So, like an idiot, I was this close to saying, well, tell those blankety, blankety, blank, blank, and you can fit in the words. People to wait.
So, yeah, you were coming around the corner.
And then I turned around the corner, and it's a full elevator of people. Oh. That's the time. Remember the time in Vegas? We were in an elevator. It was completely packed. We were in the elevator. It was completely packed. We're going down. It stops on the floor. There's this one little old lady waiting to get on. And she looks, and it's like, there's no room at all.
Yeah, she couldn't have gotten on. Yeah.
No, there's no room at all.
Yeah.
The elevator door closes, and I'm in the back, and I say, just as it closes, I say, that's right, lady, take a hike. It closes. All the people were like, oh my gosh.
Poor old lady. Her trip is ruined. What is it? And plus, the whole time we were there, what is it with you and ordering food?
I don't know. I had a little bit of a cold. I still got it, but nobody could get my food order right.
I think every time I think the problem is every time you say no to like a waiter or, a counter person, they hear extra. Yeah. So when you say no tomatoes, they hear extra tomatoes. Yeah. No lettuce, they hear extra lettuce.
The whole trip long, every time I don't want any blah, blah, blah. And then I get extra of it.
So those are most of the stories from the trip. We got a ride back to the airport from Harrah's. The limo driver, when we going from the airport to Harrah's, was very good.
Very nice.
The limo driver taking us back, it was a woman. She was, I don't know, she was kind of
Well, she just wasn't a great driver.
Yeah. Oh gosh, her driving. She's one of those drivers who is either accelerating or coasting. Right. So the whole way it's, she can't get her foot just to the right place where, this is the speed we're going to go.
She accelerates until she gets past the speed, and then she pulls off and let it coast.
Oh my God.
Until it goes below the speed she wants.
Anyway, that was nice. And then our plane trip home, it was quicker than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it turned out to be like 40 minutes quicker.
It was not. This I can't really understand, though. We got on the plane, and Mike had a jar of Pringles that he had bought, and it was unopened. So we got on the plane. He opens up the can of Pringles. He takes the barf bag from his seat, pours half the Pringles into that barf bag, grabs the barf bag from my seat, pours half the Pringles in there, and then he barfs into the Pringles can.
It's just,
I don't understand it.
Just something to keep the trip lively.
All right, that last story we'll talk about last time. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It's still a good story. Oh my gosh. So this is easily our longest episode ever. We didn't get to a poker home game this time. We'll do that next time. But that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget, we've got smartphone apps now for Android and iOS devices. It's $1.99. You get links to all of our from the show notes. You get all the links. You can immediately contact us through Twitter and Facebook and email right from the app. Plus, the app includes TV listings that we put together that's not available anywhere else. It's only available on the app. They're TV listings that I actually compile using a program that I wrote to go through raw TV data that looks for stuff related to gambling in Vegas and stuff like that. So it's actually TV listings that we put together. Just go to your app store and do a search for You Can Bet on That. Also, you can...
Our logo for that should be "Get that sexy butt out of my face." That's what we should have.
I'll put it up. I'll change it.
We'll get more apps if it says "Get that sexy butt out of my face."
We'll get more hits for that. Yeah, people. Hey, I think I'd like to download this, or would I? Email us with any questions and comments you have at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. And we've gotten some email here recently that obviously we didn't get to tonight, too. We'll talk about next time. Visit our website, youcanbetonthat.com. You can check out our show notes and leave comments. Also on that page, you can leave us a voicemail if you like by clicking on the Send Us a Voicemail link. That'll open a dialogue where you can leave a message up to 90 seconds using the microphone on your computer or your mobile device. Of course, follow us on Twitter. We always tweet whenever we're on our way to a casino or at a casino. And Mike, you gave away your $100
Gave away my
bet.
$100 bet finally to Jim.
Right.
He well deserved it for he was a gracious host,
Yep.
a fun guy.
Yeah.
Great to hang out with.
And he was the first listener that we met that we didn't know. Prior to them
right.
finding out about our show. So that's how. But keep following us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. We've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. And please review us on iTunes. You give us a good review over there. That helps us get more listeners. Anything else, Dr. Mike?
No, I'd just like to say thanks to Atlantic City.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. Way better than I expected.
Me too.
So,
Yes.
I'll probably go back someday. I don't know when, but
Yeah, I wouldn't
some
mind.
point,
I wouldn't
yeah.
mind. Yeah, if it comes up. All right, great. We'll talk to you next time.
good night.
Bye.